Welcome back, everyone, to episode 21 of the Illegal Formation podcast. And here for you guys today, and joining me is the co-host, Dan, that one dude, the Eagles fan. How you doing today?
Bro, what's going on, everybody? That one dude is in the house, and we back, guys. I'm telling you, I'm feeling great, Scooter. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It's another day. What's it called? We 2 days away from Turkey Day, 2 days away from football, 3 days away from birds. Life is good. I can't lie to you, man. We need some restitution, and I'm feeling fantastic. How about you, man?
I'm feeling great, and yes, I did forget to say already. I am your host, Scott Scooter. Whatever you want to roll with, it could be either one of those. And I'm a Giants fan, if you couldn't tell already. And yes, this is one of the best times of the year, in my opinion. This is like top three holidays for me. It's NFL Week 13, Thanksgiving, and
Mm-hmm.
we got games. We got three games on Thursday. We got Packers Lions to start things off, and then we got Chiefs Cowboys, which might be the most viewed football game like in history. Like sometimes more people watch those Thanksgiving games,
Yep.
um, and then you have Ravens Bengals to close it off, which isn't as crazy. But then we have Bears Eagles, like as Dan alluded to on Friday. We have the Bears who will be tested versus this Eagles team who is showing some vulnerabilities after blowing a 21-point lead last week. So now, finally presenting to you guys the NFL Week 13 Thanksgiving Top 10 Tuesday. How many T's can you
Oh,
count
yeah.
there? That's right. I am very hyped. Like I said, I'm ready for Thanksgiving. Ready to play some ball on the morning of after Thanksgiving Eve. It's going to be great. But before we get into that, I just want to share with you guys something. And it was this thought I was having as I was thinking about how chaotic this NFL season has been. I mean, really, not much of anything has really happened in the way that people expected. I mean, some things are kind of close, but
Mm-hmm.
in the way things are changing too, like take the Bills for example, the way they're losing, they lose to teams like the Falcons and the Dolphins, something they never do. And we're seeing a lot of stuff like that this season. I'm just thinking about this is chaos. And it had me thinking of my second favorite TV show of all time. They ruined the ending. But it's a quote from that TV show. And it goes by this devious character named Littlefinger, who is sort of an oligarch in medieval times. And what he says in a sort of debate with another sort of oligarch, debating with the master of whispers, he says, "Chaos is not a pit. Chaos is a ladder." And he goes on to explain how I'm going to misrepresent the rest of this quote, but he says, "There are some who choose to climb it and then they fall and they never recover. And then there are some who do fall and they refuse to climb again. They know the options there, but they cling to the world they have." I'm thinking about the Steelers when I think about that part of the quote. And then he says, "But then there are those who continue to try and try again, and those are the ones who rise to the top. The climb is all there is." Like I said, probably butchered the second half of that quote. Not gonna lie, the thing I had to read the whole thing off of, like the whole monologue, disappeared and started asking me to pay for a subscription, and I'm not doing that. So, um, yeah. But that quote just reminded me of this portion of the NFL season when you have all these teams, like you have 16 teams in each conference, and I'd say still about there's only one team eliminated from the playoffs, the Giants, but all the rest of the teams are theoretically in playoff contention. But I would say probably 10 to 12 teams have like a understandable way, like a path to get to the playoffs. And you have teams that are in playoff seeds right now that me and Joey were questioning last week, like the 49ers, the Jaguars, the Bears, and these teams that just keep winning, that nobody had the expectation to like confidently, hold one of these playoff spots and be like, say, like the Bears first place in their division. It's a time where those teams may fall, some of them will stay, and then some will rise through the chaos of being in the playoff hunt. And then they will take that seventh seed or that sixth seed, and they might just go all the way to a conference championship or maybe even the Super Bowl. Crazy times.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that chaos portion being said,
Yeah.
now it is time for me and Dan in the middle of all that to try to put our money where our mouth is on the teams that we think are going to rise through the chaos and who are like proving the most of that right now at week 13 in the NFL season. So you can see I have our lists, me, Dan's, and Joey's, who is not here today, all on the screen. You can see them all already. I will have a quick opportunity to read through each of them. I will read through mine and Joey's first, and then Dan can read through his. So you should see mine completely on the screen now for this brief moment. At number 10, I have the Ravens as a new team. They had a really rough start to the season, but here they are, 6-5, first place in the division. The Packers, they kind of won against 9, and that's fun and all. The defense looked great, but this is more because of other teams falling out of the top 10, like the Bills. Number 8, I have the Lions. They're staying put. For me, at least, weird game against the Giants. Honestly, that's business as usual. 7, Patriots dropping 4 spots. I'm genuinely worried about these key and core injuries they had in the trenches, and they're so new, and I want to see more wins against big teams. 6, I got the Broncos. They're staying put. They had a bye week. 5, I got the Seahawks. They took care of business versus the Titans. 4, I got the Colts. They had a really tough loss in overtime to the Chiefs. Honestly, really well-fought game, so I left them there. Number 3, I got the Eagles dropping 1 spot. Honestly, pretty generous considering the way this offense has looked at points this season, and especially in this game, like throughout the second half, that was not Eagles football, which is also why I'm only dropping them 1 spot, because I know that they're better than that, and we knew it was a trap game. Number 2, I got the Chiefs rising 5 spots. Above the Eagles, I have more faith in the Chiefs than the Eagles. To me, at this point, every team below this number 1 team has shown some major vulnerabilities at one point in the season or spread across it. And among all those teams, I'm going to take the best quarterback on the most well-operated team outside of the Eagles of this decade, really, and years before that, to rise among that and win the conference. So I just have them here right now. And number 1, I got the Rams. They're staying put. I've been here with the Rams at number 1. All right. So, if you haven't heard me say it already, they're the most complete team in football, and I expect it to stay that way unless if there is some kind of drastic injuries. So that is my list. I'm going to read through Joey's, and I'm going to do my best to represent his takes. I know he would want very desperately to roast me, about this, so let me go ahead and try to give you guys Joey's perspective. So number 10, he's got the Houston Texans. Why? They're in the playoffs right now. Pretty sure they got the 7 seed locked up at 6-5, or at least they're ahead of the Chiefs in the playoff race, and that's something that's to be valued. And this defense is elite of theirs. They'll have C.J. Stroud coming back, and even if he needs more time, Davis Mills is not bad. They're winning games against the Bills with him in. So clearly, this team is operating and can do some really good things. That Bills team still has 7 wins, so it's not like they've been a pushover in any sense. And I think the Texans are far better than the Dolphins and the Falcons. Other teams have upset the Bills. Number 9, the Packers. They just kind of got to be here, especially based off where the NFC North is right now and the way the Lions looked last week versus the Giants. And they're going to play the Lions this week, so they can kind of bury them and, keep them down and compete with the Bears for first place or that one of those 6 or 7 seeds. Number 8, the 49ers. They're 8-4. They're winning. It doesn't matter with all these injuries. In fact, they have some guys back now. Kittle, they've had McCaffrey all season. Purdy's back. Didn't play fantastic, but they have Mac Jones even if he doesn't work. And this team seems like Robert Saleh, really setting in with this defense. And they held the Panthers to 9 points. Honestly, I didn't expect that at all. Number 7, Bears, moving up 2 spots. They just keep winning. They're in first place in one of the best divisions in the NFL. And for the upside that they have, pairing Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson, with a better offensive line, Caleb's development has seemed like really, really great this season. And you can see by the results as they're in first place and one of the best teams in the NFC by record. They've got some things they got to clean up, but they seem to just be getting better every week. Number 6, the Colts, tough loss. Keep them in the same spot. Number 5, the Seahawks, drop them 1 spot. More so about other teams moving up and just having a better month than they have since then. Number 4, the Seahawks, dropping 3 spots. In dangerous territory to drop below the Seahawks team for Joey, I'm sure. But faith enough in what they've done in the past and how we know they can recover from these injuries. It seems like this has a lot more to do with the injuries. Yeah, the offense has problems, but it's a lot worse like this when these guys aren't out there. Just the problems multiply. So maybe they get healthy
Mhm.
come playoff time and they go back to being that top three team. Number three, the Broncos, second place in the AFC. They beat the Chiefs. They beat the Eagles, so they beat some really elite teams. I know Joey wouldn't call the Chiefs elite, but that's what I'm going to say for him. And they're like I said, second place, and they have an elite defense, which is something you're going to need in the playoffs. Sean Payton's a really experienced coach, so
Mhm.
that's kind of why Joey has him there. Number two, Patriots staying put. They just keep rolling. First place in the AFC, second in his rankings. That's a lot of faith in Drake May, especially considering how he's like really playing at an MVP level. I mean, I think the next guy probably deserves it over him, but even though he's not going to have Will Campbell, I think this offense is gelled enough to this point that they'll be able to survive a couple weeks without him. They have enough wins that they won't fall out of the playoffs. He'll be back come playoff time, and they'll be good. Number one, the Rams moving up 2 spots. It's about damn time. That's what I think about that. And I think Joey just, finally kind of sees, there's a lot of there's an issue with all these other teams, but with the Rams, it's just there's nothing to poke at. So wait and see with them and see if they can keep it up. And now, Dan, I know I took longer on Joey's list. We're trying to go through this fast, so please take your time as much as you need. I have your list on the top of the screen, and everyone can see it now. So,
All right.
Dan, tell us your top
So,
10. Enough of me yapping.
so my dudes, Packers, Ty, they're number 10. They just absolutely smacked number 9. What's it called? So,
So,
I can't, you know what I mean? Love, you know what I mean? I gotta give them the respect. They did what they had to do. So, but I'll just put the name on the list for now. Why not? What's it called? I did knock out, what was it? I believe I knocked out the Bucks out this list because they got absolutely
yeah.
knocked out by the Rams. So,
Do you have
um,
do you have the list in front of
yeah,
you?
I'm
Okay.
good. I'm here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have the Jags coming up at 9. Even though T-Law was looking pretty ugly, he still came out with the dub. He still did what he had to do. So I'm gonna give that respect. Even under pressure, even under what's it called, absolute duress, and having Jacoby Myers, which is a solid receiver. He was doing good on the Raiders for a while. Gotta give them the respect. They're going at 9. Seahawks. Yes, they took a win, but the injuries that they've sustained is what's made me nervous, especially going into these next couple games. They played the Titans. It was a little tight for a little bit, and then they started the momentum afterwards. It's like
Yeah, they
in a
did let him
game,
back in.
you know what I'm saying? To me, in a situation like that, and as the Seahawks, you should be able to shut the door on the Titans. Like to me, it's like these teams that allow errors, like Justin Herbert with his interception against the Titans. I understand it's professional football. I understand everybody's good, but guess what? There's good and there's great. And when you're in the playoffs, you got to be great. And to let the Titans compete with you for a little bit, and then you start running away with it, that is giving me 2022 Eagles personally. And this we don't like that. We can't have that because you can't go to the playoffs deep, and you can't run deep in the playoffs, especially in the NFC, and be able to do that. So number in at 7, no, 10, 9, 8, yeah,
You're
7,
at 7. Mm-hmm.
yeah, 7. I got the Ravens. Nobody wants to admit it. They got 5 wins in a row. You gotta give them the respect now. You gotta show them a little something, something. The Jets game was a little close, 100%, but they still got 5 wins in a row, and they came back from what, a 1-5 start? I think it was something like that. It was absolutely horrendous, and now they're 6-5. So they definitely flipped the script, did what they had to do, and they're back in it. And now they're back in the conversation. Lamar's starting to get talked about everywhere. Back into the Sports Center talk and everything. So now that the lights on them, I'm really curious. But I have belief if the Ravens can find their flow, they're gonna really show up to the show. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Going next, I got 6. We got the Colts. They got absolutely came back on against the Chiefs. Scotty was, I'll give you for sure like 100% call on that. But that's where I say that's the difference between experience and being there beforehand and actually for the first time having talent and being put in that situation.
Right.
Now that Daniel Jones, I feel like has been exposed to such a situation like that,
It's good for
that
him.
when that's good for him. That's personally something that when it happens later in the playoffs, maybe
Mm-hmm.
not against the Patrick Mahomes, but maybe against CJ Stroud, that number 1 defense.
Right.
Maybe against Josh Allen, those Bills. You know what I mean? That in those game time situations, and they just go straight for your running back, the man who's basically been carrying you.
Yep.
And now we need you to show up and we need you to ball out. You've been there. Let's see if you make the mistake twice, or if you gonna figure it out. So I will give you the benefit of the doubt, and I will say I believe in you that you'll be able to figure it out. That's why I got to keep you up here at number 6. Now, number 5, the Bears. Caleb Williams impressing me. Absolutely baller. Doing what he's got to do. I can't complain. They beat the Steelers, 100%. Now they got to play the Birds. I got to see how that is. Speaking of Birds, they're on the next. Number 5. And wait, number 4. My
Number
fault.
4.
Number 4. Number 4, the Birds. Why? I what's it called? Was thoroughly shocked about this game. 100%. I was thoroughly dumbfounded. Something just felt wrong. But I also feel like all the cards that were played and how things were run down. It is what it is. It's funny, Scott, because the moment we finished this podcast, all I saw were memes about wasn't this an OPI, or the fact that this was a penalty or whatever, and it was CD pushing off of Cooper DeJean's face was wild to me. But that's neither here nor near or here nor there. Yeah, that John.
Mm-hmm.
Going number 3, the Broncos. They're getting very notable wins. Do I like the way they're winning?
No.
Not all the time, but they're still winning. So it's like I can't hate on it, but at the same time, if that Broncos defense gets figured out, these Broncos are in trouble. That's all I'm really gonna say. It's like the
Yeah.
moment this defense has a bad day or a bad game or a hard time, I don't trust this offense to be able to keep them in that joint. I am really not lying to you. It's like sad to say, but it's real. But you know who I do believe in? Drake May. That's why the Patriots are number 2. And even though they might have these serious injuries, I'm expecting hopefully that Vrabel is going to be able to put that quarterback in a comfortable position to be able to keep him rolling, keep him going, and to be able to help this team basically flourish. Diggs was inactive, like dude was like not visible at all last game. I don't know where he went into that
No.
Bengals defense personally. Bobo really got lost in the jungle. But I would hope later going forward he's used more, especially for those freaking quick slant routes that he always be run. He used to run all the time back in Buffalo,
Yeah.
or those quick curl routes that he would just go and he'd be able to make what 3, 4 more yards just by a little like shimmy, and then he'll be able to get going. But hey, we'll see how that goes. And number 1, I'm gonna hop on it because I've never seen the Bucks get smacked like that, like ever. So, yeah, the Rams are number 1. Like, do I think they're a perfect team? I mean, for the most part, it's just to me, right? For to be a perfect team, it's like you're able to do the things that like you haven't done in the past. They still were not able to beat the Eagles this year. They are, if in my opinion, like a different team, chemistry wise. It's just when it seems like they play the Eagles, they have a bit more of an ego, a bit more of a mission, that when you start to just see red, you start to lose the big picture of the game
Mm-hmm.
overall. I genuinely feel like, and that's what I think that the Rams get caught up in is the moment. The moment is like we play teams like the Lions, we play teams like the Packers, we play
Mm-hmm.
teams like the Eagles, and they're just like we just gotta let the nuts hang. And it's like they do that too hard
Yeah.
that they lose the picture, and then that's how they choke.
Yeah. I mean, they had a similar shot, and then they lost to the Lions in 2023. I thought they were going to be great that season. I thought they had a good shot in last year's playoffs, and the way they played against the Eagles was admirable. It was the best out of anyone, but they could have won that game, and they had a couple, boneheaded, maybe not boneheaded, but crucial errors. And then this season against the Eagles, obviously they were far ahead, and they completely lost who they were in the middle of that game because they stopped playing with the intensity they needed to contain the offense with all the talent. And AJ Brown was the thing the Eagles needed. They started using him, and the Rams had no answer. So I will give you that the Eagles do have the Rams number, and I am on record saying I think this is kind of the season that the Rams will sort of eclipse that, but it is yet to happen. So fair
Indeed.
points, in which you also everyone has reflected this in the list that they think that's what it looks like is going to happen at least. But
Yeah, no, the Rams right now are extremely dominant, extremely persistent with like almost every single position. Like in every single position, they have a pretty like solid player. It's not like back then when they won the Super Bowl where it was like absolutely top tier names everywhere, and it was like these are like players that I feel like are here to try and make a name for themselves. And it's just like when it comes to the big moment, can they show up? When it comes to the big moment, can they play out? You know, they've done it for the offense, now getting Devontae Adams. And it's just now like, what will this look like?
Yeah, I think Devontae's a huge difference maker for them, and I also think that um, they're as well coached as the Chiefs are. Like with the coaching staff they have, I think it's so huge. I think it's what makes you show up in the playoffs and things like that. Having that with the quarterback, and I just feel like it's just so due. But it's more than that. It's they actually do have the ceiling this year. I think with Devonte Adams, and they're pretty healthy. That's huge too. That's been a problem for them. So yeah, we all agree. That's the one thing. This is the first time the three of us, Joey's not here. The first time the three of us have agreed on the best team.
The best
Um,
team right now. Yeah.
and that could change very fast, like I said, with the injury and all that kind of stuff, and so could all these other rankings. But for the time being, we are heading into Thanksgiving, and
All
right
day.
now, Joey and Dan both have, or excuse me and Dan both have the Ravens on our list somewhere. I have them at 10. Dan has them at 7. I honestly, I could see it. You know, it's just how far are you willing to go. I typically react
Yep.
a little slower. I just kind of want to see them win a bigger game. Their schedule tightens up a little bit down the stretch. They have two layups versus the Bengals, but two must wins versus Steelers, and a couple other ones like that. So what I'm kind of curious of is
Yep.
the first thing I thought of when I saw all three of these lists, and I saw that I was actually surprised that you had the instinct to put the Ravens on there because I thought for sure Joey would not do it, and but I wasn't sure where you lied, and so I was like, okay, so Dan sees what I see, and in fact he sees it
Mhm.
even more. He put them at 7.
I did.
So they play for the rest of the season the Bengals, the Steelers, the Bengals, Patriots, massive game, Packers, massive game, and then Steelers. That's the last 3 games of the season. So potentially 3 losses at the end of the year. You know, they usually split with the Steelers.
Mhm.
Patriots are a really tough, team obviously right now, and then the Packers, not an easy out. And in fact, according to our average top 10, the three of our lists average together. I will show you guys. The Ravens and the Packers have the same score. So, with that being said, I'll leave this right here for you guys. With that being said, with that ending schedule, if they win the first 3 and then lose the next 3, they will be 12 and or no, excuse me. That's not correct. There is 6 games left. So they have 3 left, 3 to win and 3 to lose. So they'd be 9-8, 9-8 if they split
Yep.
this down the middle. They kind of need to win one of those 3 games at the end of the season. So they either can't split with the Steelers or they have to beat the Packers or the Patriots. Do you think, Dan, that the
Mhm.
Ravens can complete the season bounce back and make it back into the playoffs?
Oh, dude, 100%. And like this is kind of what I've seen like from the years like beforehand. For some reason, end of the year Lamar. It's either he's going to be sitting because he did so good in the beginning of the season, or he just decides to turn it up for some reason towards the end of the year where he's just throwing dots to save flowers, throwing
Mm-hmm.
deep balls to Rashad Bateman, and I just feel this is more of a not the Ravens are gonna ball out, but I think other teams you're gonna start to see choke. And what I mean by that is like
Yeah. No, I know
teams,
exactly what you mean, but yes, for the
you know what I'm saying?
audience.
For the audience, 100%. So, guys, what I mean by that is like the Packers, the Steelers, and the Patriots against the Ravens. The Ravens have been here numerous times. The Ravens have been here like
I think
plenty of times where
four
they have
four
to
times,
ball
I
out.
believe.
Yeah, they have to ball out to like to succeed to be able to get into the playoffs. And then for some reason they'll win the first 2 rounds, they'll win the first round, and then get into the second round. And it's a 50-50 ball, 24/7. Um, and for me, it's like those tests for me is what's going to make me really show and really explain and really think about how the Patriots and the Packers, never mind the Steelers. I'm not even thinking about the Steelers right now. the Packers and the Patriots, how ready are they to go into the playoffs? And in reality, that those like the Packers versus the Ravens is going to show me how far is that team really going to go in the playoffs. The Patriots versus the Ravens. If the Patriots are injured and they end up beating the Ravens, listen, all I'm
Yeah,
saying,
that's
all I'm
huge.
saying, next year, all of them healthy with the new draft pick and everything, like, bro, they are gonna run
Yeah,
the
on
NFC East.
Drake May on that rookie contract too, and this is what I'm saying about the Ravens is for a minute there, I want the Ravens in the playoffs to be transparent, but I kind of felt like this was a lock. Okay, they got first place. They're not going to fall behind and lose this back to the Steelers. The Steelers have a tough schedule too, as I stated. They play the Bills, Ravens, but then Dolphins, they should win that. Browns, they should win that. We're assuming they split with the Ravens. So they're also kind of supposed to go 3-3, And when you look at the standings, they're both 6-5. So depending, how that all splits up, they could still fall out of this spot if even just, averages play out for the rest of this. So I think we both agree that we think that they will get into the playoffs. Now I want to
I do.
ask you this. The Patriots are the 1 seed. The Broncos are the 2 seed. The Colts are the 3 seed.
Yep.
Okay. The Chiefs are currently out of the playoffs. I think they'll get in. So that would leave the other teams to be a combination of 2 of the Jaguars, the Chargers, the Bills, and the Texans. If the Ravens are in that playoff race,
Who gets knocked out? The Bills.
do you think they go to you so you think the Ravens go to the AFC Championship?
Do I think the Bills go? The
The
Ravens go to the
Ravens
AFC Championship?
with that playoff bracket. The
Well,
Patriots,
it
the
seems like
Broncos,
you
and the
said.
Colts up at the top.
Yeah. But I'm saying with like I guess to me, my first question is what team wouldn't make it out of the remaining four? But you said it was the Bills, the Chargers, the Texans, and who?
I think the Chargers would miss. So I think the wild card spots would be Chiefs, Texans, and honestly, I feel a little better about the Steelers than I do about the Jaguars, but it could be them, it could be the Chargers. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it looks to me like the Jaguars might have an easier schedule, so I'll just go with them. So Chiefs, Jaguars, and Texans.
I'll go with if it's not the Chiefs, and this is kind of like just looking off the rest of the Bills schedule. Scotty, put it up. Pull if you could pull it up for 1 second, because I think the Bills in their last couple of games, if I remember correctly, they're supposed to be playing some like solid ass teams. One second.
They do have a tough
That's what
schedule, I
I'm saying.
believe.
If I remember
Yeah,
correctly, I'm just trying to
I got it
recollect
right here.
everything. Talk to me.
So their schedule for the rest of the season is Steelers, Bengals, which should be a win.
Yeah.
Patriots,
Yep.
Browns, which is like I could see the Bills losing to the Browns at this point. Eagles and then Jets. That's the dub. So they have 2 layups, a semi layup in the form of the Browns, and then 3 games that are going to be tough: Steelers, Patriots, and Eagles. I feel like 3 bad matchups. Teams that like to stop the run.
I like to
It's
stop the run,
yeah,
heavy defensive line, 100%. Which is why I'm getting at it's moments like this where it's either Allen's gonna peak or Allen's gonna fall. And for what makes me mad about it is that Allen likes to peak at games where it's like the Eagles and the Steelers and everybody else.
mm-hmm.
But it's when that defensive line is so ferocious and they're actually able to get to the quarterback. It's when you see him like choking those moments because games like what's it called? Like I would say like against the Jets and like the Patriots and all that stuff. While they're not bad teams, right now the Patriots are hurt and the Jets are the Jets.
Right.
So, but Allen for some reason will go and play like on their level the entire time. And this will be my take, and I'll stand on business with this. There's a chance I feel the Bills might miss the playoffs this year. I'm not even gonna
Mm-hmm.
lie to you.
No,
Like
I'm fully on board with that. I mean, they are 7-4. I feel like they should be the team I have faith in for the same reason I have faith in the Chiefs, except the Bills have only ever shown that they will get to the playoffs. It's not like they've shown up flat in the playoffs before, getting blown out in the first round. They slipped in last year. Or no, not
Mm-hmm.
slipped in. No, they blew the doors off last year when everyone thought there was a good chance they would miss without Diggs. But this year's different. This year feels a lot different. This doesn't feel like a dangerous team. This doesn't feel like the team we saw week one. Not at all. And there's a lot of, regrettable, contracts and decisions and things that are just kind of circling the drain here in Buffalo. Like I said, I think the Texans, they might just slug their way in with their defense. And that would be crazy to see 3 AFC South teams get in between the Jaguars, Texans, and Colts. Colts winning the division. But I genuinely feel like the Chargers have the lowest floor of all these teams, missing like the tackle duo of Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, and now like the rest of their line is injured too. It's just so bad. Like I know they have 7 wins, but most of that was early in the season in a different team. So ultimately, I think my goal was with this question was we're gonna see in this playoff race. If the Ravens are still a 4 seed, they'll play the top wild card team. So it'll be that Texans team, or that it probably won't be it could be any one of those teams. Actually, they all have a similar record. But you're looking at Texans, Chiefs, and like Jaguars. So as it stands now, it would be Chargers or Jaguars, and I think they'd win that game. You'd get to the divisional round,
For
and
sure. Play the Chiefs or Colts.
I think you would not be the lowest seed because the Chiefs are going to be a wild card team, and they are going to beat whoever they play in the wild card round, and they are going to go on to verse the New England Patriots. So they will verse the Patriots, and the Ravens would verse the Broncos. So in that situation,
The Broncos. Wouldn't they play the 1 seed, which is the Colts?
no, the 1 seed is the Patriots right now.
Oh,
The
okay.
2
So they play.
seed,
Okay.
the Broncos are the 2 seed, and then the Colts are the 3 seed. So I'm assuming right now that the Colts are
Would play the Chiefs, and the
they would
Chiefs
play
would
the
be.
Chiefs and they would lose. So that's why they're not there, and the Ravens would play the 2-seeded Broncos. So if that
Okay.
happened, that would be a really interesting matchup. Ravens Broncos. We all have the Broncos rated higher than the Ravens right now for obvious reasons.
Me and
But
they do. Yeah.
in the playoffs, fast forward a couple weeks, who you taking in that matchup?
Right now, off game script. I'm not gonna lie, and the reason why is because of that defense. But the Broncos right now, personally, I trust to me their defense. Like I said, their defense hasn't shown that it's like that they're gonna falter yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like listen, I heard this Bull Singleton played a whole NFL game with cancer in his balls. You know what I mean? God, like thank the
Yes,
Lord he's good. Thank the Lord he's safe. But yo, that's a built different defense. And
that is
I'm
crazy.
thinking they are literally here to ball out and do what they got to do, and I think they're gonna be able to contain Lamar as of right now. You know what I mean? I haven't seen
No,
Lamar hit he hasn't hit his awakening form yet. Like you know what I mean? This isn't the
yes,
same Lamar. This is a very big like he's still like in that box.
he's injured he's still kind of not healthy because it was the knee, and then it was the ankle.
Yep.
Now
And
it's
then with the
the
hamstring.
toe. Or yeah, it was knee. It was hamstring, then it was knee, then ankle, and
Now
now
it's a
toe.
toe.
Now I don't remember if it's all on the same leg, but not for nothing. That sounds a lot like sort of collateral injury. You know what I mean? Like he didn't recover that well or something, or maybe it's just hard to play in the NFL after an injury. These guys are human, and Lamar's not that big to be honest. But if that gets better and Lamar gets to be fully healthy, like he did like he looked in that Texans game last year at the end of the season, I think this Ravens team could go back to being the best team in the AFC. I think that's how high their ceiling is. That's what it was going into the season. We know this team gets like better as the season goes on, of course, until the playoffs roll around. They still have to beat that. But what a perfect season to come in and take advantage of a strange playoff bracket, because now instead of versing the Bills and the Chiefs and these quarterbacks who you know can keep up with you, you're versing the Broncos, who, yes, look great. They made the playoffs last year. They got stomped by the Bills. And I understand they're a different team this year. They're much improved. But it's just going to show that this Ravens team's been here over and over. They've been in the shoes of the Broncos team right now, you know? So it's sort of like that experience wild card thing where, yeah, Lamar and Josh, they fall to the Chiefs all the time, but eventually there's going to be new AFC quarterbacks who come in and lose to them, like CJ Stroud has been doing. So it's this is the flex spot for the Ravens. I feel good. I did predict them to go to the Super Bowl, and I think the door is not closed on that. But you're right, Lamar has to get back to his ultimate form, which I think I think we all want to see that. But I think that's enough about the Ravens and all that with the AFC playoff picture. I want to talk about this particular team is a team for me that I'm frustrated with myself. But it has a lot more to do with just the fact that this team, in my opinion, hasn't been all that tested yet. But they have proven what seems to be so much, and there's so much to like. There really is. There really is a lot to like about this team, and that would be the 8-3 Chicago Bears, who currently hold first place in the AFC North. Who would have thought? I mean, I think we all knew the ceiling was there, but we thought that more for like Madden franchise mode. We didn't really think Caleb Williams was going to hit that, that superstar development.
Hit that switch.
We did not know he was going to hit that switch, but it looks like he's doing that. But I still neglect to rank them in the top 10. And I noticed that both you and Joey, who has decided to join us, you guys can't see him right now, but I can see him. I know he's here. Joey, say hello to the audience.
I'm getting extremely frustrated listening to this podcast.
Had to hop in.
Yep. The Broncos would blow the doors off the Ravens. It wouldn't be a close game.
Maybe right now, yeah, but I think
right now, and like even if they play in the playoffs, like the Ravens wouldn't be able to do anything offensively against the Broncos. I think you're downplaying how dominant their defense is.
That's why I said I picked the Broncos because of the defense.
Yeah, but how is this even a question that we're even like thinking about? Like it's not even
because it
like
could happen.
Between the four units between the Ravens offense, defense, and then the Broncos offense, defense. The Broncos.
He's breaking up.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Joe, you're breaking up like crazy right now.
The Ravens would not be able to move the ball against the Broncos at the end of the day. And then the Ravens defense is dog shit.
Well, I mean, it was early on in the season, but to say that it's bad now, I don't think is really accurate. We saw them do this last year. I know they haven't played a lot of great teams right now. That's why they're only 10 for me. I think their ceiling's a lot higher than that, but I'm not going to put them up there until they prove to me they can win one of these more important games.
I give them 7 because they've been able to win 5 games in a row. That's a pretty
And they beat the Bears without Lamar. They held that offense to 16 points, and you have the Bears on your list, so it's like it's not like they haven't beaten anybody. I mean, they held every team to less than 20 points for 5 weeks in a row.
Do you know who Lamar's daddy is? It's Mike Tomlin.
No, well, he usually splits with Mike Tomlin, so it looks like he'll lose week 8. He'll lose week 18.
It's just whenever they play at Pittsburgh is when, for some reason, the Ravens
they're not good.
Yeah, they just have a hard time.
Yeah, they verse the Patriots, Packers, and Steelers at the end of the season. Me and Dan both agreed if this Patriots team still doesn't have Will Campbell and Milton Williams and they beat this Ravens team, that's kind of like the cherry on top. Pretty sure the Patriots play the Bills and the Ravens in 16 and 17, so that's huge for them. But for this Ravens team, I kind of like the way I laid out how new this playoff kind of bracket looks right now, and like a lot of teams, this is their first time really being in this position. I think the Ravens and Bills, if the Bills make it, and if the Ravens make it, could be the teams to benefit from that. this time around because the Chiefs are going to have to go win 3 road games most likely. So they might not have to deal with them either. And I just think, just because, say, the Broncos or Patriots beat the Chiefs in the divisional round, that team could very easily turn around and lose the AFC Championship. You know what I mean? You telling me, like, you're very confident that the Patriots or Broncos would go, they're going to beat the Ravens in the divisional round and then the Chiefs in the AFC Championship? I think that's a pretty bold thing to say. You get they're the one seed right now, but they're suffering some injuries. But we're kind of all over the place right now. I think, Joey, why don't we just move on to the Bears, because I know you have plenty to say about them.
I wanted to say like the two teams that I like the most in the AFC, and it's all based off their defense, has to be the Broncos and the Texans. If the Texans can get into the playoffs, it'd be a scary team just off what that
Bro, that
defense is doing.
Texans, I can't lie. That Texans defense is monstrous.
I said I
The
thought
Texans
they'd
have
make it.
they have a Super Bowl contending defense. It's just a matter of what they can do on offense. But Davis Mills shows you that their offense isn't broken. They have Davis Mills in there, so I'm kind of interested to see like what happens. Like, do they go back to CJ Stroud, or do they continue to roll with Davis Mills? That's going to be a huge question they have to answer.
Well, it's gonna be the make or break of the season. I feel like if they go with Stroud and they end up getting knocked out, it's gonna be the question about, is he really a starter, or what really? Or if they go with Davis Mills and then he actually ends up taking to the playoffs, that's gonna be another question if CJ Stroud's really their starter.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating story to follow, because there's going to be a lot of long term. We're going to learn a lot about the Texans long term this season.
I mean, honestly, with this offense, I kind of am against the offense is like because of Stroud, because like the first 3 weeks of the season they had a brutal defensive schedule. They played the Rams week 1, and they almost won 14-9. You were all right. This is a good team, but obviously the offense, and then they versus the Bucks. They lose by 1 point when the Bucks are pretty much fully healthy, 20-19. And then 17-10 versus the Jaguars. That was his worst game. That was Stroud lost that game when Trevor Lawrence was trying to also lose it. That was bad. But then from that point on, he really turned it around. 26-0 to the Titans. Yeah, the defense was great. Probably didn't have to do much. But then the 44-0 or 44-10 against a backup Ravens team. But still, 44 points. I get that defense was really not good at the time, but that was more than even some other teams had put up at that point in time. 19 points versus the Seahawks, 15 points 26 points to the 49ers, 15 with Mills to the Broncos. But then it has looked good against Jacksonville the second time around. And then they scrape by 16-13 against the Titans. And then obviously you have the win against the Bills. But I just am kind of pointing out, I think against the Colts and Chiefs, I'd rather have Stroud in there these next 2 weeks. I think he's not the reason. I think the offense is gelling. It took
I think, and also too, think about it. Tank Dell's not in there. Imagine
they don't need Tank Dell.
That's kind of what I'm getting at, is the fact that they don't need him and they're still flourishing like this. When he comes back next year, bro, this Texans team is gonna be back to full throttle.
I think his career is kind of over with the injuries as he's had, but I think Noel and Jaden Higgins, when they break out, they're going to have one of the best trios in football, just with those three. With Nico Collins, I mean, it's pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think they're holding Tank Dell on the IR. I think they're just keeping him there because it doesn't really take up a roster spot, to be honest, and they could just keep him there until he potentially comes back on his, I think he was a 3rd or 4th round pick. Cheap rookie contract. We'll see what happens with Tank Dell. But I agree. I think they have a ton of young wide receivers even now, and I liked what this team had done in the past. It just seemed like they could not get the offensive coordinator in line right. So I do really like the Texans. It's just I'm a little worried that it's just kind of a flash in the pan with the Davis Mills in the offense and stuff like that. I want to see him finish this regular season of theirs. But that's, I think, enough of the AFC. It's time to move on to the NFC and talk about this Bears team. I already introduced it. They're in both your top 10, Joey, and Dan, your top 10. Dan has him as high as 5. I have that. I do not have them on my list. Joey has them at 7, and I totally understand the concept of putting them on here. They are first place in a really good division by record. I really like the potential that Caleb Williams has and has even been showing with his ability to avoid sacks. And Ben Johnson's obviously a great coach who's done a good job so far. But for me, at least when it comes to the list, I want to see them play this game against the Eagles before I choose a spot for them, because I do kind of have it in mind that I think they can be on here. But as far, there's nothing I can really gauge it off of, because I think most of the 8 wins that they do have are not really wins that kind of I feel like framed them as a top 10 team. It just kind of framed them as a good team. So kind of in that 15 to 11 range, kind of like Dallas is right now. I feel like they're a very similar team to the Cowboys right now, except the Cowboys have made recent moves that have made them probably even better than the Bears, in my opinion, which is another thing that went into this, because I knew that spot in the NFC was probably going to go to the Cowboys for me, but they're not on the list either. And of those two teams, when you throw in the Ravens, I have the Ravens above those two, so I have the Ravens at 10. So that's kind of like the breakdown of how I view the Bears. I have the Packers and Lions ahead of them.
So I guess, Scotty, what is it about the Bears that you feel as if that they're just like they're like you don't see them like right now they're not there yet? Like, why?
Because I don't necessarily see the Lions or Packers as collapsing right now, and I think that's what the sort of narrative is surrounding this. And neither team is that far behind this Bears team, and the Packers are half game behind this Bears team. People are acting like the Bears are running away with this, and I get the Packers don't look great over the past couple weeks, but I feel like they're kind of settling in at this point. And with the Lions, I think a lot of people are reacting to the Giants game, where personally, from my perspective, I've been more surprised at, you know what I mean? We went ahead and then they came back and won. I kind of thought if we ever got ahead, that's what they would do. And Gibbs completely took over the game.
But at the end of the day, they should never have gotten ahead. I feel like
I'm saying every team on this top 10 list has been in this position against this Giants team, pretty much. It's not going to be every team, but if I just go down my list, the Chiefs, they played a terrible game versus the Giants and they won. The Eagles lost to the Giants. They have not played the Seahawks. The Broncos were down 19 points in the fourth quarter against the Giants. The Patriots, they play them after this week. The Lions, it just happened. The Packers, the Cowboys, I don't have them on here, but it happened to them. The Packers, they were down to this Giants team. To me, I get the Giants are the first team eliminated, but it's this is why, is because this is what they do. It's not, to me, that it's not a bad win. They survive. They stay in the same spot for me. Yeah, what's that?
Talking about this division. Talk about this division, though. I think it's not like the Bears need both of these teams to collapse. I think it just takes one. And I kind of think the Lions are looking like that team that can collapse. If the Packers were to beat them again this week, and then they had to play Dallas the following week, that's 2 more losses for them. I just feel like they could be falling out of the divisional race for them if those happen. They just don't. They just look like they look like a tough team to evaluate right now, and they look kind of. The offense, it doesn't look as good as it did years prior. They're clearly missing Ben Johnson, and so it's just a tough evaluation, I think.
I'm also looking at it from the perspective of Caleb Williams, dude. In reality, last year when it was his first year, he had a horrible time against the blitz. He was always scrambling. He was throwing just deep balls out of nowhere. Yes, did he have random comeback? Sure, but now it's he's avoiding a lot. He's upgrading as the season's going on, personally, and also too. For example, that sack from T.J. Watt. This dude had a fumble 6. They ended up scoring. The Bears were behind, and they were able to come back. That's something in a long. Caleb Williams doing that against the Steelers defense. The Steelers defense was not fantastic all year. But they're also a very physical defense. And the thing is, when he's in a slump and he's having a hard time, he doesn't often come back. And he's been doing that a lot lately in a lot of these games. He did it against the Giants, and now he did it against the Steelers. So it's for me, He's learning, and he keeps Joe's going, and now it's just a matter of time until he learns this offense. He gets comfortable with Ben Johnson, and he's able to like just elevate his game. Like this Bears team is like, I feel like, I guess in my opinion, like the dark horse so far of like nobody really knows what they're coming with until they get there, or until either they get like a big name. Because of course we're not looking at the running back room being like DeAndre Swift, a Manunga. Like nobody really knows.
Do not disrespect Chungus.
No, I'm not disrespecting him. I'm saying nobody wants to notice him like he should be.
Yeah, I'm talking about
to add on to what Danny's saying though. To add on though, it's like you highlighted how the Giants are losing these one-score games. The Bears had like a similar, like that's kind of who the Bears have been in our lifetimes. They always find a way to lose these one-score games, and that's the complete opposite this year. This year, they're finding ways to win these games and like to put games away. And I feel like it's a huge no for a guy in his second year with his second head coach, who's Ben Johnson, the most coveted head coaching candidate in a long time. I feel like it's hard to describe them. They have a lot of talent on offense. And then Luther Burden took over that wide receiver 3 role, and just a lot of positives to take away from the Bears, I feel like, with what they're building.
I love what they're building, and I do agree that the upside here is very real for this Bears team to be able to play against anyone because they have built the offensive line. They have the coach in Ben Johnson. They have the quarterback. They have the weapons on offense, and the defense is not atrocious. Right, they can win through this offense. But for me, I want to just point out a couple things that kind of undercut this a little bit for me. And I know you hate this because
he said I hate this.
You hate this because I acknowledge though that I agree. I'm ready to move the Bears up, but I want to see this Eagles game first. I think that's fair. But
you said the Bears defense is not atrocious, like as if they're bad.
I'm saying it's not a great defense. They let up 28 points to Mason Rudolph, and you're talking about this game like this is like, an NFC playoff win. They played, and I get it. Mason Rudolph is not a terrible backup, but the bottom line is the Steelers
are a playoff team though in general. Though.
I mean, barely though. Like they might miss the playoffs.
The playoff race either.
The Ravens currently hold the AFC North, and they're tied, and they play
These
twice.
These are hands or a butt, Scott.
No, it's not. It's not if. The Steelers are the if playoff team. They're not a playoff team right now.
Yeah, but if you're gonna go and say like how the Bears defense gave up all these points to Mason Rudolph, it's like that means that like Bryce Young's Panthers let up or like got however many points on the Packers defense.
Okay, so
no, what about what the Lions gave up to Jameis fucking Winston? What's the difference there?
Yeah, because Jameis did the same thing to the Packers. He did the same thing to them.
You have a conflicting way of looking at
these because I could look at everyone's list and say you have this team above them and they beat them, and it's at the point in the season
Chiefs at 2 everyone 6-5. Come on now.
Yeah, they have the greatest quarterback we've seen this century. Like it's not like
make sure you zip
to have
them up.
faith in that. But my point is this Bears team, like these wins. It's not something that has moved me as far as a team. Like, I believe this team is going to get there at some point. I just don't know that it's going to be this season. And I think until you see them play this Eagles team, you really can't say that. Because for me, it's not enough for me to say you can beat the Eagles if you beat Mason Rudolph's Steelers. If you beat 9 J.J. McCarthy by 2 points, scoring 19 on offense. This team is very inconsistent. Because in the Giants game, they came back. They won that game. They did the same thing that the Lions and the Packers did. In that one, it was not Jameis. It was Dart who got injured, and then they put Russ in, and Russ failed to finish the game. I think if you put Jameis in that game, there is a chance that they would have lost, but that's neither here nor there. Against the Bengals, 47-42, miracle win, really. I mean, it was a very close shootout, 100%. But 42 points to the Flacco-led offense. On one hand, I get it. They've done this to some teams this year, but I would think the best.
He does this all the time.
I would think the good defenses would. Well, he does not do 42 points all the time. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is the Bengals season high.
Yeah,
and I can check that.
This is the rare scenario where he has T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Though.
And then
he's going to drop 42.
And then week 8, before right after their 4-game win streak, in week 8, they lost to the backup-led Ravens 30-16. It's just the inconsistency because I see you beat the Commanders, That was a
How about a
solid
young
win.
team though?
They beat the Cowboys. It is a young team, and so I am willing to look past like some of what's happened early on in the season. And by the way, I know you guys hate it when I bring up the Week 1 Packers-Lions game, but in Week 2, this team lost to the Lions 52-21. So it's like I understand
Again, young team.
they've gotten better, young team, right? They've improved. Okay, the Lions can improve too. All right, they're not as young, but they're a very experienced team who's been in these spots before. They can also get better and fix their weaknesses. And they had 2 close games against this Vikings team. Like there's only that's the one thing when you have these close wins is it's like you like to see it, but I want to see it against better teams. They have a negative point differential. If they had the hardest strength of schedule and they had a negative point differential, I would be more forgiving. But they have not played the hardest part yet. This is the end of their season. Eagles, Packers, Browns, Packers, 49ers, Lions. This is it coming up. This is what's going to determine it for me. How they manage to hold on to this division through that schedule is going to determine whether I have this team off of my top 10 list or as high as the top 4. I think they really could be that good. And I don't think it's a bad thing that I'm saying, let's hold our horses. They need to win the big game first because it has not happened yet.
Why doesn't that apply for you with the Chiefs, though? Like, how are you just willing to put the Chiefs at number 2 when they are 6-5 and they are number 10 in their fucking AFC conference?
Because they beat the
Lions. I don't
Lions
understand what the
and they beat the Colts.
Here. Yeah, because they lost 5 of these one-score games, though. That's why they are 6-5.
Yeah, but they just won one. They just won one against the Colts, a very good team.
The
Bears are doing this against J.J. McCarthy. The Chiefs did it against the Colts.
The only thing, right? And Scott, this is where I guess I wonder for you is the only reason why you're giving this, I guess, like thought is because they didn't have Rashee Rice for all those games that they lost, those one-score games. So it's like they weren't able to do. I guess to me, it's like, is it more of a seniority? It's Mahomes. He's that great.
It's not
like,
earned. It's just
that's
being
why,
right now.
or is it because like at the time like, they were losing weapons? Kelsey's old. They have no running backs right now. Like, is this like what is it? I guess like that's giving you this like
if they did not
from
just
the beginning to now, is it a seniority thing or is it because they didn't have the pieces and now they're starting to get pieces to like shake the rust off plus Rashee Rice back? Like what? Like
I'm just like I've said it before where like you want to give these young teams time and everyone forgets that the old teams can get better and they can improve. And I want to just remind you guys that this is what we see on an annual basis with these teams is these ones that are great like the Chiefs, but even the other AFC teams that typically make it like the Bills, the Ravens, and the Bengals last year almost getting in there. They were getting better way faster than the young teams were come week 13 through 18, right? Because they aren't a young team. It isn't their first or second time finishing out a regular season. And a lot of these pieces have been here for 3 years on this Chiefs team. And I have a lot more faith that they're going to get it right the 4th time around than the Bears are going to get it right the first time around when it comes to and that, honestly, that's not even as big of a point to me as like I said before. There's a difference between winning 1-score games against 9 and winning them against the Colts. It's not just a win's a win. No, I don't think like that. I look at who they're playing.
That's easily though. That's more of like the whole thing with the Colts though is the Colts lost that game more than the Chiefs won, I feel like.
Okay,
the Colts
but they won. That's what the
quarter.
Chiefs do is they don't lose the game. And I understand, I literally just talked about a win is a win. But they shut out the Colts offense in one of the most unstoppable run games we've seen since last year with Saquon, but since then, for years. This Jonathan Taylor run game is like when the Titans had Derrick Henry and he went for 2,000 yards. And the Chiefs, with not a lot of talent on defense, are able to shut it down. That has to be because of schematics. That's the only way you could do it. And once you start looking at it through that scope, that they are literally a tier above these teams who are coming here the first time, it doesn't become that hard for me to say, oh yeah, I have faith in them. Why would I not have faith in them? They're above 500. They're good. They're going to do better in the last stretch than anyone else is. It's not that complicated to understand how I'm choosing to look at it. Like, I understand if you don't agree
Let's just
and you
move
don't want
on.
if you
Let's
don't
just
want to
wait
project it.
until after Thanksgiving.
Let's just wait until after Thanksgiving is right, because this is a tough week, because there wasn't as many shifting, top 10 games, and this is
Joey,
like I've said.
all I'm gonna say is, Joey, if this Chiefs team comes out and absolutely like beats these Cowboys on freaking Thanksgiving, oh Lord, am I gonna be? This is gonna be a funny ass podcast coming into it. I ain't gonna lie to
If it,
you.
This
I
Chiefs
said the
Cowboys
Chiefs.
game is massive, and to be frank, I've mentioned it multiple times before. I think the Cowboys are better than the Bears right now for the very similar reasons as I've explained. Is this Dak? It is a rookie head coach, but that coach has been there with this team. It's not that new. Obviously, they added a bunch of new pieces and talent. So even though the Bears have a much better record, I think the Cowboys right now are better than that Bears team is. And I don't have either of them here, but they're kind of like my 11, my 12, ahead of the Buccaneers, a team I was super high on, and the Bills, who I just had on the top 10 a week ago. It's happening. I just need one more week. Give me one more week. Look at where I have the Seahawks now. They've been comfortably sitting at 5 for me in the right spot for weeks now. And same thing with the Colts. They didn't move an inch. And the Broncos at 6. They're right where they need to be. Just enough respect. Now I did jump them with the Chiefs, but that's enough. I do want to move on. We talked about the Bears. We talked about the Ravens. And now it is time, I think, even though I guess we did kind of talk about this already, but I just want to confirm what you guys think about this. The Packers and the Lions play on Thanksgiving. And now this is not a prediction show, but I do kind of want to talk about this game just because of how it implicates this top 10 list. For all three of us, we all have the Packers on our list somewhere between 9 or 10. Neither of you have the Lions on your list. I have the Lions on my list ahead of the Packers. They're both one of the teams that, if someone's going to take this division from the Bears, it's going to be one of them. It's not going to be the Vikings, and they play this
It would be the Packers.
You think it's going to be the Packers. You don't have the Lions on your list. Joey, please tell me why.
I think the Lions are a bad match. They don't match up well with the Packers. We've learned that week 1. And, I mean, I think their defense could be rounding into the form that we expected them to play in, because, they are kind of similar to, I guess how the Eagles have been. They win these ugly games. They just find a way to win them. But, yeah, I just really don't think – the Lions' strength is running the ball. They're not going to be able to run the ball on the Packers. So I don't know how they're going to find an edge to beat them. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
How do you think the Packers' offense is going to outperform the Lions' offense? What are they going to do to the Lions' defense to – What's going to be their asset? Because I know Jacobs is supposed to come back, but he's going to be banged up. Do you think it's just going to be the run game?
Emmanuel Wilson played better though with it. He's had a better game than Jacobs has. I feel like.
Yeah, he was the first Packers 100-yard rusher since week 13 last year.
He got that RB sugar rush where once he got he was like, finally, I'm finally starting. It's time to show out. And he did it against the Vikings 100%, but he did it against a Vikings team that in reality I feel like was not prepared for that game. I do see where Joey's coming from. I do have the Packers at 10, but I have I would have the Lions at 11. To me, it's one of those things where I just genuinely feel like the Lions are confused with themselves.
Yes.
I feel like they're questioning their identity of what they're supposed to be, and
they lost their identity when they lost their coordinators.
Yeah,
exactly. Too, you know what I'm saying? To me, it's this is what the Eagles have been going through for how many years now?
100%, Danny.
You said what?
So 100%. This is exactly how the Eagles have felt when they were losing their coordinators.
Exactly. So
to me, the same thing for the Lions. That the Lions never won anything, so it's tough. And it's you have Dan Campbell calling the plays now, and when you had Ben Johnson there prior, that's clearly going to be a problem for your offense.
100%.
That's kind of where I'm at with that.
100%, and that's where for me, maybe Thanksgiving game is it's like a homecoming game, back when you were in high school and stuff like that. It's one of those games where you're supposed to be hyped for it, and you might come out and ball out the way that you should. It's just that the Lions are just I feel like they're questioning a lot when it comes to certain things. Jared Goff is playing hesitant. He's relying a lot more on Jahmyr Gibbs, and he's relying more on his checkdowns, kind of like what Jalen Hurts did when it was that 2023 season. We had Brian Johnson calling the plays that he was just bro, I have no idea what we're doing. It almost looks similar to what he's doing now, where it's he'll get comfortable, but the moment it's the play calling changes and or the defense adjusts, but the offense doesn't. Like, and he's sitting here like, I gotta rely on the checkdowns. It's like that's just what I feel like the Lions are just stuck in, is relying on checkdowns to Jameer Gibbs. And hey, great, that helps me with fantasy. But as far as the Lions goes, like it's not gonna go far. And
Yes.
it's just gonna be dependent now whether or not the offense decides to change the scheme and grow up and realizes towards the end of the season this is where you make up or break up, or they fold.
I think they're going to fold. I just think like they have all this talent on offense. They have no idea how to use it though.
Yeah, like
And I
for
think
the fact
that's
that
been
James,
evident.
I'm sorry, the fact that Jameson JMO did not get used once in that Giants game is
The u-
ridiculous.
the usage with David Montgomery too has been really weird. Like they haven't been complimenting each other this year whatsoever.
Fun fact: since week 6, the Lions have lost every game that Jameer Gibbs did not eclipse 100 yards. They lost to the Chiefs, where Gibbs had 65. They lost to the Vikings, where Montgomery was the leading rusher with 40 yards. And then they lost to the Eagles when Gibbs only had 39 yards.
So Scott, let me ask you this. This is getting down. This is getting ahead of myself now. What matchup do you like better, the Dallas defense or the Lions running game when they because they're going to be playing next week? So how do you feel about that matchup? If the key to beating the Lions is stopping Gibbs to getting 100 yards, doesn't that favor Dallas?
Well, this is what I'm getting to with the Cowboys, and I just could not put them on this listing because even if I see them lose close to the Chiefs, I will put them on this list. Like when I
It
move
won't
the
matter if
Colts
they
up.
lose. The season's over. They have to win.
I mean, I think you guys can afford one loss and be 6.
No, I want to win out. I want to
You'd
win.
be,
I want to beat the Chiefs. I
I
want to
know,
beat the Lions.
I know what you want, but like I think you can make it at 10-6-1. I would say
They're going to beat They're a better team than the Chiefs right now. I feel confident saying that.
your guys' ceiling is higher than theirs. I think their execution will be better than yours. There's still a lot of new pieces on this defense, and I think they'll find a way to kind of go after that. Somehow, some way. This is kind of what it hinges on a lot of the times when I talk about the Chiefs is it's like this mysterious force will win them the game, and it feels like that a lot of the times. But that mysterious force is coaching. The Cowboys can definitely win this game. I'm super pumped to watch it. I think the Cowboys have enough on offense that they'll certainly be able to attack the Chiefs defense. It's just going to come down to execution. Does Dak have a poor read that leads to an interception? Does an offensive lineman miss a block that leads to a forced fumble? Whether in the running game or the passing game, it's going to be something like that that'll cause the Cowboys to lose this game. If they play a clean game, they should win. I'm just not sure that's going to happen on offense or defense. We'll have to see. It's going to be an awesome game. But as far as the Packers and Lions go, I have the Packers right behind the Lions. Just simply because of the way the Lions have played. They have beaten a lot better teams than the Packers have this season. Now, what I'll say is the Packers' fashion of beating teams is often more impressive to me. It's usually through the defense. It's not through an offense that solely runs through one guy. That seems like it's a lot easier to stop. So this is probably the toughest ranking I've had all season. But due to the peer pressure and bullying from you guys, I had to move the Packers down. I did kind of cave on that. I kind of always I'm gonna pick the Packers to win this game. And which means I should have them at 8, and I should have the Lions at 9. But for the time being, I have the Lions just ahead of them. They just proven a lot more, but I do kind of feel like it's expiring. We're at a point in the season where a lot of these things that happened early on, either because the team is young or because there's been injuries, a lot of those things tend to expire. Like I am not allowed to bring up this week 1 win against the Lions unless if the majority of those players were healthy, right? Because both of these teams are established. But you understand what I'm saying. It's getting old to me with this Lions team. I think they kind of missed their window, to be completely honest. I thought it was that 2023 season. I think they missed out.
Mhm.
All right. I have one more topic. I'm very excited to talk about this one. It should get hot between you two, honestly, because I know my answer, but I'm curious what you two think most of all. Who is going to weather this? Because first of all, let me announce the Patriots have lost Milton Williams to the IR heading into this week, and then Will Campbell has an MCL sprain, so he'll be able to come back probably in time for the playoffs. Will he be 100%? He's young, but we'll see. And then they also had a starting guard exit the game with an ankle. I think he's going to be questionable heading into this week. The Eagles lost in embarrassing fashion with a 21-point comeback, but it was very apparent that the offense seemed somewhat broken, especially with the absence of Lane Johnson. The run game completely shut down. Saquon Barkley, not even 30 rushing yards. Very tough spot for these two teams who have 8 or 9 wins. Patriots 10, actually. Who is going to weather the storm of injuries better this season? The Eagles or the Patriots? Who's going to go further after these brutal
I'll go
injuries?
first.
Yep.
This is pretty easy to say. This defending Super Bowl champions will be, able to weather these injuries. I think it's a silly little question you brought up. I mean,
And,
one team won the Super Bowl, the other team had like the third overall pick last year. I think it's easy to figure out who's
and
going to be able to
also,
weather these injuries.
we've also been in this situation beforehand. We were in that situation the first time Hurts went to the playoffs when we've had, I think it was like 18 or 19 different offensive line combinations, and then going into the playoffs in 2023, we were able to muster it up somehow. We didn't play with AJ Brown. We ended up getting knocked out first round, but then what was it? We did it 2017 when we lost our starting quarterback, our starting left tackle, our starting left guard, and it was just two backups and oh yeah, no, our right guard because Brian Brooks didn't play that game, but what's his face? Like the Eagles have been here numerous times. I feel like we've seen that. Makuba, I know he's gonna be out for the season because he's got an ankle injury that he's got to get surgery for. But
You know, who broke
Sidney
his
Brown,
ankle.
yeah, he broke his ankle.
Sidney Brown broke his fucking ankle. That was kind of funny.
That's not
No,
funny.
Makuba broke his ankle.
I know. I'm saying he broke his ankle off Sidney Brown hitting him like in his
Oh yeah,
ankle
yeah, yeah.
when
Yeah,
George Pickens
I'm
clipped him.
not even gonna lie to you. Yeah, that's the thing that gets me about Sidney Brown is that dude. I feel like he runs 100 miles an hour and doesn't matter, like does not care who he hits. He's just like, I'm gonna make a high impact play, but like you literally are gonna lead. You literally led to the player that or to an injury that made your player be out for the season.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It's like I like Sidney Brown. I think he's a great hitter. I think he's a hard hitter. I think he's an absolute freaking baller. I just think he also generates way too many freaking penalties personally. But that's just for a different conversation, of course. I do like McCollum because I know we do have McCollum still back there. I think Reed Blankenship's still healthy. I don't know what free agent safeties are out there right now, but yeah, no, I like where we're at so far, and then we have depth. We've invested for so long, for how many years now to be able to at least have a number two, maybe a decent number three. The only thing that we're really fighting for right now is finding a good outside corner to replace Adoree Jackson because this dude is absolutely freaking dog water. And I think Michael Carter was doing pretty well. And Jair Alexander said he needed to step away right now to figure out whether or not he was going to retire or not, or whether he was going to try to come back to play. Which, to me,
I
it's
think
like,
he's
hey,
retired after that Cowboys game.
it's like to me, all I'm saying is I feel like for me, it's one of those things where it's like, yo, if it's part of a script where all of a sudden now like Jair comes back and he's like, I'm ready to play football, and then he starts when we play the Packers in the playoffs, and then takes an interception off of Jordan Love, and then everybody look. I'm telling you right here, right now, I'm coming straight to the podcast, and I'm calling out the NFL, bro. Like I'm straight up
This
calling
man's
them.
writing fan fiction right now.
All right. All
What?
right. Let me tell you both why I disagree
This-
with you. I actually earlier in the day, I thought the same way you guys did. I thought, of course, the Eagles, they have the better depth. They've been here before, all that. I did think about that. But I kind of came back around to myself and I was like, well, at the same time, the Eagles, when they went to the Super Bowl both times, were the healthiest team in the league by a wide margin. So, and that now they are super talented and they are super deep. But the truth is when those guys are your actual 3 and 4s, that's when it really shines. It's not great, obviously, right now from what we're seeing. And what we saw in 2023, the Eagles did suffer an enormous amount of injuries. It's actually very similar to this year. And what did we see?
This guy's the worst.
They had a bunch of wins, but eventually it did sort of fall apart. Eventually they ran out of answers for these problems. And now Lane Johnson is going to come back. They do still have A.J. Brown right now. I don't think they're as injured as 2023, but a lot of that happened very suddenly. And I think it might be, first of all, I think it might be just one of those years where the Eagles are having like all their injuries. It just seems like every other year they save them for the following season. So that's number one. Is the sample we've seen from the Eagles is that when they do suffer these injuries, it falls apart.
I also
That's
feel
my
like
first example.
when
But then there's number two. So after I get my number two, I don't have anything else. Okay, so I want you guys to
You
respond to that.
stink, Scott. We don't
So
like you.
my
You
other
don't know
part
ball.
is they have a better, and I know you'll agree with this, Joey. What is the only thing that can really? There's two things that can help you overcome injuries.
A running game, an
Really
offensive
three,
line, and a
because you
defense.
could say depth, but it's your coach and your quarterback. You first of all, you need someone who's there, but every NFL team is filled out. They all have depth, but how do you get the most out of that depth? Well, you have a coach that's putting them in the right spot, and then you have a quarterback who can give them the best possible chance. Now, with the argument I'm about to make is that, first of all, I think Mike Vrabel is an awesome coach. And I think the Steelers are really well coached on defense, but not on offense where these injuries are occurring. I think they're poorly coached on offense, and both of you will agree with that. So I think they're
the
struggling.
Steelers,
The Eagles. I don't know if I said Steelers, but they can sound kind of close with the way I talk sometimes. But I don't know what I said. Probably said Steelers, but they're poorly coached on offense. We know that. We agree. So they're poorly coached on offense, and because of that, the quarterback's been struggling. But people are arguing about whether that it's going to be Jalen Hurts or Kevin Patullo who's getting the blame. But in reality, it's both of them are a problem. But when I look at what the Patriots have, they have Drake May and they have Josh
Demon.
McDaniels. And when I think about that, I'm like, well, I think you have a lot more answers to respond to an injury when you have a quarterback as talented as Drake May, playing the way he is, as responsible as he is for the offense. And when you have Josh McDaniels, a guy who's been here for a million years, compared to this guy, Kevin Patullo. And when I just think about how dependent this Eagles offense is on Saquon and the running game, or A.J. Brown making a big catch, I think, yeah, I think actually the Patriots might have a better shot of weathering these injuries. Not to mention they don't have as many of them as the Eagles do right now. So I actually think the Patriots are going to hold on to this a little better, and they won't collapse. It's also a little bit of we don't know what they look like when they're dealing with all these injuries because it's the first time. I'll take that compared to knowing that the Eagles are going to collapse like they did in 2023. So that's kind of how I
I got
look
one.
at it.
I got one thing to add. You're just choosing to bet against the like Jalen Hurts is one of the most winning quarterbacks in the league, and you're just choosing to bet against him. It makes no sense.
When they're healthy,
I mean, 18
what's his
game winning
winning
streak.
percentage without AJ? It's not good. That's just AJ. Now, what is it
It's gotten
without Lane Johnson?
it's gotten better over the couple of weeks that he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
there though.
You're right. It has this year. But what about Lane Johnson? I think every quarterback on the Eagles has a split with and without Lane Johnson all the way back to whoever was before Carson Wentz. And it's all
Sam
terrible.
Bradford.
Sam Bradford. It's all terrible. Everyone without Lane Johnson is significantly worse. He's been essentially a top 3 tackle
Anyone without the
every
best
season.
right tackle in football is a worse team. Who would have thought? What a crazy
Yeah,
idea!
and you're trying to tell me that this team is going to handle that when they've never proven that they can handle anything without him. So that's my point.
Yeah, I just think I just think that the team that won Super Bowl has all that talent will be able to handle that better than the unknown we have with the
Well,
Patriots.
and
I like the Patriots, and I feel great about the Patriots. I'm just saying, I don't. I think you're trying to put a little too much pressure on what to expect from them. Where it's like, I'm just taking everything that comes from them. I'm just like, okay, that's cool. They keep stacking these wins, but I'm not trying to say like, hey, they're going to go to the fucking Super Bowl this year. I would say the Broncos are the best team in the AFC right now,
well, the crazy
just
thing
off their defense. But obviously, I love where Drake May's out. They're my number 2 team. I'm just saying, I'm more or less just happy with whatever happens with them, wherever they go. I'll take that.
And what does agitate me in terms of like when it comes to like comparing the Eagles to anybody, it's almost just like when the Eagles have this spotlight for some reason, like it just gets me about with just Hurts and the team itself. It's almost like because we are not doing the same thing we did last year, we're shitty. Like because we're not attending to the same bar we were at last year, we're not the same team. We're not the same caliber. It's like we're gonna make mistakes and people are just gonna study our film. It's like when you play the Eagles now, we're like, I guess you could say like the standard. We're the Super Bowl champs right now. So it's like any team that's played us, when it comes to the Packers, when it comes to the Lions, the Chiefs, the Bucks, their
The
aggression, their blitz
Cowboys.
percentage, the Cowboys, like The Rams, everybody, from their blitz percentage to the what's it called, the way, like you can physically see the players on the field playing it like this is my chance to make a name for myself. When it was the year before, when we weren't going to the Super Bowl, we just had our choke year. The last year before, we ran over everybody. We were passing over anybody. I know Kellen Moore did all that. Vic Fangio
Danny,
made this
Fully
crazy defense.
healthy.
Fully healthy, 100%. It was like nobody
Danny,
paid
just to add to
attention
what
to
you're
him.
saying,
Yeah.
just to add to what you're saying, welcome to the life of being a Dallas Cowboys fan. Because every team that plays Dallas, it's their Super Bowl. That's how it goes.
All right, I just want to point something out to both of you that I am the only one who has the Eagles above the Patriots between the three of us. So isn't that kind of weird the way we had just had that conversation?
Well, yeah,
It's like
of course, you're
I'm the
gonna have
one
like.
standing
Well,
up
I
for
need to see
them.
what it's. Of course, I need to see what the Eagles look like with the injuries they acquired. They just had that loss the way they had it right now. Now it's like they're gonna play the Bears. The Bengals were able to play the Bengals played the Patriots. The Patriots still stuck through even though they had injuries. So I'm gonna give them the edge for now because they were able to play with the
Agreed.
injuries they acquired. But the Eagles haven't played with the injuries they've acquired yet. They played with a fully healthy team going in, and they left with one dude out and some people hurt. Right now, I just got a notification about how Saquon didn't participate in practice today because of a groin.
It would make sense that he's not really
I
fully
think,
healthy right now. I also
I think
just
we're going
I
to
want
learn a
to
lot about the Eagles.
yeah I agree. I think we're gonna learn a lot about all these teams, the Eagles, the Bears, Packers, Lions, all these teams we've talked about today. It's a huge week coming up for them. The Chiefs too. Can they compete with a team that's as explosive as Dallas? Like, there's all these sorts of questions. The one little thing for you, Dan, because you were saying it's either like if we're not great, we're terrible. I would not normally say it. I tried to before Lane Johnson got hurt. I tried to say I think you guys will do something in between. Like you'll go to the divisional round, you'll win a game and then lose. But now that you don't have Lane Johnson, like that I think is so tremendous. And I think like literally all the offense you guys had left got spent in like that first quarter and a half of that Cowboys game. And we really could have seen like until he's back, like your offense could look atrocious, and it's not even like we haven't seen that before. So it's like I would love to not say like you guys are going to be like just terrible now, but it's not like I didn't react to something that just happened, like Lane Johnson going down. Like before that, I was giving you guys some respect and trying to say, yeah, I don't think it'll just be great or terrible. I think maybe they could be good, but no, like I think it's just getting a little rough at this point. But at the same time, I'm the one who still has the Eagles at 3. Like I think by the time the playoffs roll around, Lane Johnson will be back, and they could figure it out in time because AJ Brown is still there. I don't think they have as many injuries, but they definitely have more than the Patriots. I just kind of don't know what to do with them. I can't give them the benefit of the doubt on the ranking, but I don't think it's a hot take to say that you think, maybe they can figure this out in time as well. Kind of a weird question, I guess. Obviously, it panned out in a strange way, but I thought that was a interesting one to talk about. Both teams losing their best offensive linemen, and just the way I circled myself thinking about it. First, kind of being like Eagles, and then thinking Patriots. I kind of wanted to know what you guys would think, but it seems there's much more faith in the Eagles. Taking a page out of my book, giving them the benefit of the doubt. It was just kind of a funny conversation. I'm glad we talked about that. That was fun. But that's really the last topic I have for today. I guess we can just confirm the Texans. We all said that we believe in them to make a wild card spot. The Packers and the Lions, we all think the Packers are going to take that. I believe in the Bears. I'm hesitating to put them in the top 10. Dan and Joey are already there. They get to be early on that if they beat the Eagles this weekend, or if they win like enough big games down the stretch to see if I eventually fold and put them in there. The Ravens, me and Danny have a lot more faith in them than Joey, and we think that they can go to the playoffs and have a really close game against the Broncos and maybe even win, whereas Joey does not think that is the case. And that was the show today. You see the top 10 lists on the screen. I will bring back up the average list just so you can see that one more time. Boop. There it is. All right. So that is the NFL Week 13 top 10 Thanksgiving Tuesday show. A lot of T's in that one. Chaos is a Ladder was the title I decided to go with for this one because it's just that point in the season. And if you guys did enjoy this episode of The Illegal Formation, then don't forget to subscribe to The Pocket, to that one dude. He's in my description. Go hit him up and subscribe to him. Drop a like on one of his videos. Drop a like on this video. And if you have any thoughts on any of the questions we asked today, then please drop your answer or your comment in the comment section. And stay tuned for later this week where I will have predictions up for these Thanksgiving games, all three of them, and the Friday game at some point, most likely tomorrow. And that's all I got for you guys in this one. Dan, anything for the audience?
Guys, man, thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. Guys, I'm telling you, it's going to be a bomb week. Make sure you eat your turkey, get your stuffing in, green beans, casserole, all that ish in between. Guys, we going to catch you in the next one.